What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know how to live off the grid, which will open up pockets of your time that you could be using for useful stuff? Well, I got good news for you. I've put together a special report showing you how to do this. It's normally $45, but since you're a loyal listener of the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time.
You're listening to the Inner Strength Show. If you want to step into your greatness, you've come to the right place. Here is your host, the human strength expert, Kyle Newell.
All right, we're here with episode number 94 of the Unlocking Your Inner Strength podcast. Today I'm going to talk about things that I learned from Scott Able, who was my first coach in fitness. And he was more than that as well, but we'll get into that. Before we get into some of the secret stuff that I learned from him, two things. The most important thing with your sleep habits is a consistent bedtime and wake-up time. That's something Charles Poliquin taught me years ago, but that's the most powerful thing, especially if you struggle with sleep. And if you're struggling with sleep and you keep sleeping in, we had somebody recently that was really struggling with getting up. They would sleep till 10, 11 a.m., noon. They would just keep sleeping. But they're going to bed at 2 or 3 in the morning. So you have to sleep. You have to start going to sleep earlier and start sleeping less if you really struggle with sleep at first. Because you want to build up something called sleep pressure. Now, something called adenosine. All right, so adenosine triphosphate, but adenosine builds up. And as that builds up, the longer we're awake, the more the sleep pressure grows. And as sleep pressure grows, it makes us drowsy, makes us want to sleep. So you have to build up sleep pressure if you're trying to get your sleep back on track. And another thing with sleep, if you drink alcohol, you don't get any REM sleep that night. So you got to think about that. When you choose to drink, pick and choose wisely. That's really changed the way I think about alcohol. You're losing out on all REM sleep. There's no restorative sleep. Other cool sleep stuff I'll talk about next week with sleeping pills that I was just reading up about. And second thing before we get into the main topic is an unconventional workout. So I believe that we should sweat every day. Now, sweating every day is part of your fitness. It doesn't have to be a formal workout. Devin wanted to start getting in a 4th workout per week over at Newell Strength, so she went this morning. Now, what that meant wasn't, I wasn't going to have the same time available to do my kettlebell workout. So you know what I did? I danced with the boys. We put on Pandora in the living room, danced, got a sweat. Then I went for a walk with Colt and the dogs up and down the hill a few times. And that was my workout. It was unconventional. You don't have to put a label on it. Just get a sweat. And in case you're wondering, these are my blue blocker sunglasses. The good thing about these is that they block all blue light that comes into the eye. I happen to like them, but sometimes I wear them at night when I'm inside to block the blue rays if we have the TV on or a screen on, which also throws off your sleep. All right. So Scott Able was the first fitness coach that I ever had. And what drew me to Scott was the fact that he was into mind, body, spirit. What hooked me, though, was I was at the time still competing in bodybuilding, and I was looking for ways to incorporate a cheat day into my preparation. I knew it worked. I'd done research in college. I'd been experimenting with this, getting lean, being able to eat a massive amount of food once a week, and nobody could explain the hardcore science. I'd found a few things, but then I came across Scott when I was still teaching, and I was reading during one of my lunch breaks. He had something called the cycle diet. So I bought the DVD, watched it, hired him as my coach. So that hooked me, but then what kept me with him was his approach to life. So some things that I learned from him is what I'm going to go over today. Take it as you want. A lot of this has helped form the foundation of my coaching and training philosophy. So the first thing, since it was a cycle diet, is this idea of metabolism. Metabolism is not a finite thing. It doesn't shut off when you go to sleep. Metabolism is a big picture. You have to look over the scope of time with metabolism. Like some people say, well, I'm not working out today, I have to eat less. That's not how your metabolism works. Look at it in terms of the macro, in terms of the big picture. Metabolism can be manipulated. You're not going to speed up metabolism. So this idea with supercompensation and a cycle diet, nobody physiologically needs a cheat meal or cheat day unless they're super, super lean. So you can use them just as a break and to reward yourself. Now, you're also not going to get fat from one meal, okay, or one day of eating. But what we found with the cycle diet, for example, when I would diet down for my bodybuilding shows, I'd be super, super lean and my appetite would be out of control. It would take me months to get my appetite back. So with the cycle diet, I would get to there's more like biofeedback stuff, which I'll go over in a second, but you get to a point of certain leanness and then you basically have a bottomless pit. You can't get full. And this has to do with hormones and all that. But by eating a massive amount, you could kind of re-trigger leptin. Research, according to Scott, to re-trigger leptin, you need 55 calories per pound of body weight. So you do the math. I weighed about 230 pounds at the time. And there was times I would easily do 15 to 20,000. I think the most I ever did was probably 25,000 calories in one day. Devin can attest to that. That's not an exaggeration.
What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know how to live off the grid, which will open up pockets of your time that you could be using for useful stuff? Well, I got good news for you. I've put together a special report showing you how to do this. It's normally $45, but since you're a loyal listener of the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time.
So this idea of metabolism, and it's a fluid thing. It's always ongoing. It's always ongoing. Energy patterns in life when we're coaching. If you need something, you're usually not going to get it. Okay, if you want it because it's going to enrich your life, much healthier way to approach things. So Scott turned me on to a psychiatrist named Scott Peck. The Road Less Traveled was a great trilogy that influenced a lot of my thought and life philosophy. Also turned me on to Dr. David Hawkins, who I was talking about last week with Power versus Force. So energy patterns in life. Do we need something or do we want something? If the chase is wearing you out, stop. That's one of the main tenets of coaching. If the chase is wearing you out, stop. It means you're going down the wrong path. And you think about all goal setting and all goal formation, it's really the chasing or to bring you more happiness. I won't say chasing, but to bring you more happiness. If it's not bringing you more happiness, you are on the wrong path. So anything that's bringing you less happiness means you're going the wrong way. Training outside the box. So I learned so much from Scott as far as how we should actually train. Training for oxygen debt. You don't have to break it up into strength training and then conditioning. You don't have to spend an hour strength training and go to a half-hour cardio. Again, it doesn't work like that. You want to train for oxygen debt. Now, somebody actually posted on one of our videos for the gym in which Dana's doing a kettlebell complex for fat loss. And it got his attention, this guy. He said, it doesn't work for what traditional cardio? I said, for fat loss. Well, it depends. No, it doesn't depend. It doesn't work. If you're looking at pure fat loss, now there's relaxation principles. There's all this stuff that you have to apply as well. Yet, you want to train, once you can hold a conversation with somebody, you should be able to start your next set. Now, this raises excess post-exercise oxygen debt, which is going to lead to a raising up of metabolism over a longer period of time, 24 to 48 hours. You want to have the big gas-guzzling engine. You don't want to have the fuel-efficient engine. If you're more fuel-efficient, you use less fuel. We don't want to be more efficient at using fat, which is what slow, long-distance or methodical training like you see most people in the gym do. You don't want that. So throw it out the window. Then this idea also that we can train different planes of motion and put tweaks on traditional things like bodybuilding training, where we can make it more exciting and fun while getting better results. So one of the main things I learned from Scott as far as training, if you picture a sandhill, and I keep pouring my drink down the same angle of that sandhill, I'm going to keep making the same grooves, and they're going to keep getting deeper and deeper. Now, if I change the angle from which I'm pouring the water, I'm going to start to create some new patterns. This is innervation training. So even if you change your grip, change the angle of an exercise, change something slightly, it's a new exercise. Your recruitment pattern is different than what you normally would have done. And we have to look at that. If you just keep training in the same plane of motion, same range of motion, most people are just going to go to a traditional gym, are just going to keep pressing, right? Horizontal pressing. they're working the same patterns over and over and over, and then they start getting overuse injuries and imbalances. So you want to be able to change the angle and work on innervation training, which is funny because that's something people are starting to talk about in different ways now, but this goes back over a decade ago. Scott was talking about this stuff, and he really got me to think unconventionally, think outside the box. And don't just do it for the sake of doing it, but back it up with what you're seeing. And it is a beautiful day here, Paul. It's awesome out here. But you got to start thinking outside the box, and you have to start thinking of coaching. Any type of relationship is coaching. Could be your spouse, could be your girlfriend, could be your boyfriend, could be a client. Doesn't matter. Coaching is a relationship, and you're really just the mirror for the client or the other person. You're the mirror. And you can't force advice upon somebody that doesn't ask for your advice. It comes across as judgment. And the brain is going to reject judgment every single time because it's a threat to the brain. The brain interprets it as, if I judge you, I'm going to kick you out of the tribe, your chance for survival goes down. That's literally how the brain interprets judgment. So anyway, those are just some of the things that Scott taught me. He was a big influence in my life. I still read a lot of his stuff. He's got a great YouTube channel, really cool stuff, and he backs his stuff up with research. He's a brilliant mind, in my opinion. So it's Scott Able. I think you can go to scottable.com. But he's just a really great coach, wealth of knowledge. If anybody was ever going to get a PhD in muscle building and training, it would be him. And his background, what he went to school for, was sociology. So again, you go to school for the social aspect, take what you need, learn what you need, and apply it to any field. So that's all I have for episode number 94. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already done so, please share this with somebody or put a review on iTunes. That'll help me out greatly. Then next week, I'm going to announce a new project that me and my buddy Brandon are going to be working on. Not a new project, but we're going to be working on it together. So that's new. And that's all I got for you. Peace.
You've been listening to The Inner Strength Show. If you enjoyed the show, remember to subscribe, rate, and review us in iTunes.